What if God's first words to humanity revealed not only their purpose, but yours too? Before sin, before struggle, before any rules, God spoke a blessing. And in that moment, he embedded identity, authority, and destiny into mankind. That same DNA runs through you today. In Genesis 1:28, it says, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. This verse is deeply packed with meaning, especially in light of humanity's identity and purpose as God's representatives and his representation on earth. So what's God's intention in blessing the man and the woman? Well, here it is. Empowerment. The blessing is not just a nice word. It's an empowerment to carry out what follows. God equips them with the capacity to fulfill the command. Next is delegation of authority. The blessing is God entrusting them with divine authority to act on his behalf. Next, partnership. God is inviting them into a co-creative relationship to cultivate, care for, and rule the earth under his guidance. That's the key thing, under his guidance. Next, the command that followed would be fruitful, have dominion. This is often called the cultural mandate or creation mandate. Let's break it down. Be fruitful and multiply. This speaks to the expansion of humanity, not just biologically, but also socially and culturally, spreading life, order, and God's image across the earth. Fill the earth and subdue it means this. Humanity is called to expand Eden-like order throughout creation. And then subdue, it implies bringing potential into purpose, taming chaos into flourishing. Have dominion. This dominion is not domination or exploitation, but stewardship. Like a faithful king ruling under a greater king. Humanity is to rule creation as God would, wisely, justly, and lovingly. Now, in relationship to being God's representative and representation, Genesis 1:26 through 27 urges us, right? Humanity is created in God's, by telling us that humanity is created in God's image and likeness of God, which means that they are both representation, they reflect God's nature, and that they're representative, and they're to act on his behalf. As representation, they reflect God's character, his creativity, relational nature, justice, mercy, and love. Their very existence on earth points to the presence and the glory of God. But as representatives, well, they serve as his delegated rulers on earth. They carry out his will in the physical realm, bringing heaven's values into earthly reality. Now let's take a look at a big picture summary for a second. Genesis 1:28 is a commissioning. He gives humanity the dignity of being his image on earth, empowered to expand his goodness, order, and purpose throughout creation. They were to be visible reflections of the invisible God, governing creation in a way that would showcase his glory. Tell me that's not a powerful mandate from God. Now check this out. Blessed to represent. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over every living creature, according to Genesis 1:28. God's first interaction with humanity was not a rule, but a blessing. Before they were told to do, they were empowered to be. In this blessing, we see our original identity and purpose. There it is. We are not accidents or afterthoughts. We are created intentionally, stamped with God's image. This means we were designed to reflect him as representation and to act on his behalf as representative. When God told Adam and Eve to multiply, fill, subdue, and rule, he was saying, take what I have started here in Eden and spread it everywhere. Be my visible presence on earth. Their job wasn't just to have babies or name animals. It was to partner with God in expanding his kingdom of peace, order, and flourishing across the earth. Every action they took, raising families, cultivating gardens, stewarding animals, was meant to reflect heaven on earth. Today, though, that purpose still stands. It does. You are still his image bearer. You are still to be blessed you're still blessed to be his representative. Let everything you do today, whether parenting, working, resting, speaking, let it mirror the ones whose image you carry. Now here's some application, all right? You were made to drift. You weren't made to drift through life aimlessly. You were created, blessed, and authorized by God to bring heaven's order into earth's chaos. And we have a lot of chaos. It means we have a lot of work to do. Whether you lead a company or change diapers, tend a garden or manage a team, you are representing the King. Ask yourself, does how I live reflect the God I represent? So think about this. Where in your daily life have you forgotten that you are blessed to reflect and represent God? And how can you realign with that purpose today? Before you were given any task, you were given a blessing. God's first act toward you was empowerment. So step boldly into your identity, God's image bearer and God's representative. So in this episode, we were able to focus on what our true identity is, right? What our true image is. And it's found in the image of God in which we were created. Next episode, though, we're going to talk about the broken image and how sin distorted God's design. Thanks for tuning in with me. 5 for Faith, where purpose meets power in 5 minutes. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode so that we can go over this next topic. This is going to be an amazing journey. You stick with me, rather stick with God. If we stick with God in this thing, I promise you, by the transformative power of his word, our minds will be renewed, transformed, and thus our lives will be more impactful as we are empowered by his truth. God bless you and have an amazing day. Peace.